It was the night before we were about to set off on an adventure to see a national park that was not easy to get to. We only had one day to do it, so if anything were to go wrong, we would be in trouble. But that's not a reason not to try. There are certain things where it never feels like the right moment. It's either too expensive, too big of a time commitment, and we push it, and maybe it'll just never happen. And I know I never want to be that guy. I want to make it one of my top priorities now, because who knows when it might be too late.
Let me go out like I was in the sun. Let me go out, big hands, I know you want.
There's something so satisfying about completing a complicated journey. It requires a lot of traveling on a lot of different vessels to finally get here and be this close to being able to do it is incredible. You guys can go. When I travel and for comedy or when I travel around, like I always try to see which park is close and I'll go to it. But there are some that just have a much higher barrier for entry. I'm like, oh, what's in South Florida? And it's like, oh, Dry Tortugas, okay, cool. And then I actually look into it and it's like, oh, I can't just do this as a side activity. Like I need to like literally block off time to go do this. And that's what this is. So we're in Key West, en route to going to the Dry Tortugas National Park, which is one of the least visited national parks. It's just really hard to get to. It's really out of the way. There's no like efficient way necessarily to get there either. So first of all, you have to come down to Key West, which is the southernmost point in the United States, pretty much far from everything. So we drove many, many hours. Once you're here, you either need to take a boat or a seaplane to get to the Tortugas National Park, which is like 75 miles west of Key West. So it's like a little bit of an adventure. We wanted to get on a boat because it was less expensive. It was booked out for like 6 months. We're like, all right, there happen to be 2 spots left on the seaplane, which will hopefully be an easier way to do it. In a way, I'm actually happy that that worked out because it's a long boat ride. It's supposed to be tough seas too. Like, I don't want to get sick, dude. I don't think I've ever been on a seaplane. And it's just gonna be very, very rewarding getting to see the Dry Tortugas finally. It requires a lot of planning, a little bit of luck. If the weather were to be bad, trip just gets canceled, you get refunded, and like, we're only here for 1 day. So we're excited to be here. The weather's good. There's no reason to think that it won't happen. We got a couple hours till we go. Enjoying Key West. The architecture's pretty unique. It's a vibe, and it's a place you hear about your whole life, you know what I mean? Just from lore and pop culture, Bob Dylan, Ernest Hemingway, Beach Boys, people constantly talking about Key West, so it's cool to be down here and see it. Dude, what's with the chickens down here? Is that a thing? Just chickens roaming around? Are chickens mischievous? Like, potentially. Look, hey, he's flapping. What's up, dude? Yeah? Sort of an interesting combination of just like a real-time, almost like Disney World, but it's not, right? Like this looks like a ride at Disney World. This just looks like Splash Mountain or something. Maybe it's designed to be that, but there is a nice like work-in with the town also just kind of looking like that, but in a less sort of corny way than that. No offense to the Shipwrecked Treasures Museum. I'm intrigued. I mean, inevitably, the edge of the country needs to be some sort of like military presence because you need to defend. It's the first place that gets passed by invaders. So like, doesn't surprise me that there's like a big military presence here and that there's like a lot of commemorative stuff, which is nice. Is this like honoring people who were down here a bunch? It's funny how even the like commemorative head garden, there's some people who are bigger deals than others. Like, I know about Harry Truman. Maybe I'm just too young, but I don't know about Senator John Spotswood. Nor do I know about Sandy Cornish. Should I know about Sandy Cornish? There's gotta be Hemingway. Had to be there. I remember like the first time I found out what his personality was like, I was surprised. Like to me, like being a guy who wrote stuff was like nerdy or something. So then I was like, oh, this guy was like a drunken dog. He was the man. You know what I mean? I say that in a good way. Total bro, like very obviously, right? For the boys. He would be ripping zins in today's age. Is that Lennon, dude? Dr. Jephthah Vining Harris would take offense to that comparison. He looks like Playboy Cardi. He's got the... Important to have a civilian woman included in this. There's two chicks, but one of them is a nun. Margot, holding it down. Couldn't be a better day for a flight on a little plane, I think. Famous last words. This is the normal airport. We're not going to the normal airport. We're going there. Nice. We've been told we're on the best flight, meaning the ferry will actually be leaving before we get there, so there's going to be less people on the island.
All right, lock your step as you step over. Lock your head as you get in and out of there.
Thank you, man.
I'll take this.
Thank you. Cheers.
There you go. That is my kid.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Boats that bring back out like 25, 50 people. They'll come out here, they'll let you out, snorkel, swim, out of board, drink beer, get beer, whatever you want. That's my favorite place on a nice weekend. Water's cold for me to be sitting and drinking in it right now, but everybody see a sea turtle. I've got one chained up to a buoy. I'll fly by and show it to you. There you see another ship. I'm gonna fly right over it. It's crashed and hit a reef at a wrong turn. There it is. Pretty cool.
Cool, man. It's like crazy to finally get to see it. Wow. Also, the ferry's about to leave, which is amazing. There's going to be like way less people on the island. Super cool. Sayonara to the loser brigade. They were also saying that like the fort doesn't have any guardrails or anything on it yet, which is super cool because it's just like an OG experience. Like even dude, like when we go to an emerging country and like you can literally just like jump off the top of the thing if you want. There's like no protection, no guardrails, no nothing. This is the same deal. And the pilot even said like take care of her or something like that. So there's 8 national park rangers who live here basically full time, and occasionally they'll bring like a pizza for them on the plane. But I wonder what their life must be like, dude. Is it just like, are they like theater kids? Are they all just like hooking up with each other? Are they coupled up? What's the deal? These two are literally doing marine research. It's It's one of their many tasks of the 8 people who live here. Do marine research, keep upkeep. So this apparently was like some sort of OG fort, decommissioned in 1846 once they invented a cannon that could easily penetrate the walls. They used to keep some prisoners here. Some of the people who kind of plotted to assassinate Lincoln, I think, were kept here. And then also all the soldiers that were kept here at one point, or who were stationed here. There was like a huge yellow fever outbreak. It's a little spooky, but super preserved, and one of the parks that very few people come to. And you kind of get the feeling that it's just a perfectly sort of preserved thing that people haven't quite yet overrun and ruined. You know, it's a big enough park that you could theoretically get into some trouble if you wanted. Like I see people sort of on the perimeter, like unclear if they're like token up or what's going on, you know. It does sort of give off vibe that like something terrible happened here once. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe that was the yellow fever outbreak, but there would be a great horror movie plot of people just like getting stranded here for the night and then like most of them die or whatever, except for me, dude. Let's try to figure out how to get on top. This is creeping me out a little bit, to be honest. I think it's the same thing with Alcatraz, where it was this like being imprisoned on an island. This is at least a pretty island, but I wonder if that's better or worse than being imprisoned in an Alcatraz situation that's a little more foggy. I think both situations, it must be really brutal to have a pretty view like that where you're just stuck. I've said it once, and I guess I'll say it again, but there's no 2 park sites that are alike, you know? This is my number 181, and truly like can't point to 2 that were similar yet. I always look forward to that aspect. We made it. Wow, cool. Cool.
It was equal parts cool and kind of weird to be hanging around the park with basically no one else there. And while the fort itself and the peaceful isolation was very cool, one of the less obvious highlights of this particular park was the wildlife. And in some cases, if you weren't paying very close attention, you might not even notice it at all. Hermit crabs. Curious creatures by nature, whose natural instincts often lead them to explore new environments. In this case, maybe it's the camera, or he's just ready for his close-up. This one has decided not to climb my foot. He's moving on to a more popular climb. A stump. And his peers. Small but mighty. And when there's one, there's often many more. While this might look contentious, hermit crabs are social and often use each other for safety and support, using each other as stepping stones in their constant search for better shelters. But the group mentality can sometimes push them into these pileups, even in non-threatening environments. They are naturally curious and are quick to embrace new discoveries. These 2 hermit crabs have uncovered something quite rare given their isolation from the rest of the world, and one that we can all agree is delicious. In what is likely the first time this has ever been documented, these hermit crabs are fighting over a Cheeto. This clever little guy has caught wind of what's going on. He's coming over to get in on the action.
Here he comes.
He sneaks right in and grabs a nice portion for himself. Well done.
Little guy fully made off like a bandit.
And in the end, they were able to break it in half. They give us some snorkeling gear, so we figured we'd give it a shot.
I actually hate snorkeling, dude, to be honest. I don't hate it. It's just I hate gear-intensive activities. Like, I hate that I have this stupid thing on. I don't have to have this on right now, but... And then I hate getting wet. No, that's ridiculous. I don't hate getting wet. But anyway, I want to go see the fort, but I'm like, I have to also go see if there's animals in the water. OCD. Here we go. Feels really cool to finally be here, dude. You know, I've had my eye on this one for a long time. I come to Florida a lot for comedy. I've been to St. Pete like 6 times in the past 2 years, and then all over Florida for a variety of reasons. And I'm always like, how am I gonna get to the Tortugas one day? We did it. Tried Tortugas National Park. Great to have been here. Great to have done it. Flying back. Cheers, brother. Thanks. We did it.
You hear me?
Bradley, what up?
Hey, what's up? Sorry, it's weirdly taking forever to switch my AirPod.
All good.
How are you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. I just, dude, I was like sick for like 2 weeks, and then I was having some like pain, and I'm just like finally feeling energy for the first time.
Hey, he's back. He's back.
Getting shit done this week. Yeah. I was gonna talk to you. So yeah, the Wrangell stuff. I'm not hearing a lot of like open stuff with the Wrangell St. Elias in January. But
Okay.
we can do it. Like there's a like a taxi, like a little plane that will take you up there and stuff. And
Cool.
there's things like that you can do. And
Okay.
then I know you're a national park person, so would love to set that up.